Greetings, everyone. It is Brony Debates time. I just realized I forgot to change out the thumbnail for this one. Let me fix that real quick. And I hope you all have had a wonderful weekend. We're gonna be having some fun tonight. Just picking up where we left off on our Reddit threads because I have no more real content to make. There is no more. Yeah, we're just out of luck on that front. The wells run dry, so you just get to hang out with us and read the internet for an hour or so. What do you think about that, Heather?
I think we have ideas. We just need collaborators.
Yeah. I did reach out to a few people because I've had ideas, but nobody was available, and not too many of them even got back to me. So let's start with our first topic of the day here, right after I thank all of the generous backers on Patreon who are exclusively paying my bills these days, such as Heather herself for some reason. Gosh darn it. It's like I'm paying her and she's paying me with it, just going back and forth in this house. There's also Shady Oak, Autoknight, Emerald, Senko, DJ, Billy, Alden, Kanto, Alicia, StarChaser, VentureCorp, Willyzin, Icanus, Vulpecula, Jimmy, Josiah, Aventicus, Rusty, and Dark Malcontent. Be sure to check out all those links in the description to see how you can support the channel and what you get in return. And yeah, that's some good stuff. Hello Raptors Talon, hello Gojillion, Shatira, Paladin, Trent, 7. I hope you guys are doing well out there. And don't forget, if you have a message that you would like to be read out on the stream, we got a bot that'll do that for you. So just leave a tip in the tip jar that's sitting on top of my head at the bottom right of the screen there. And given that this is Brony Debates, we do have a call-in server. If you have a topic that you want to bring up or something that you want to add, just click the Discord link in the description. And once you're there, tell us what you want to talk about. And if we find you interesting, I will invite you on the show. Just make sure your mic and internet are at least halfway decent. So let's go. Let's see here. Let's go fly a kite and send it soaring. That's the button. All right. So our first topic of the night: the Young Six, underrated. Now, Heather, before we start, what did you think of the Young Six?
I didn't think much of them at the time. Like, I slowly latched onto, like, a couple and some pairings here and there. But, like, I wasn't in love with them as a group, as a unit. Does that make sense?
Yes. So, it makes sense, but can you explain on why?
I guess. Like, I don't want to be a person that's just like, oh, just because they were new and introduced to the series that I didn't like them. I found it hard to relate to any of them, and I think that was because they were just like, because the main six, it was easy to latch on to several different aspects about them because they all felt kind of like my peers, whereas the young six don't feel that way. They're very much kids still figuring out who they are. When it comes to the main six, even at the beginning of the show, they kind of already knew what their life paths were and all that. I just can't relate to the main six. The young six, as much as I could to the main six. The young six almost feels like it was something that was introduced for younger viewers of the show because the bronies got latched onto the main six, and I feel like younger bronies who came in later, might have still been kids when it was showing, came in, and those are the characters they would have latched onto. Do you think you're running with my theory with that?
Yeah, I can definitely see where you're coming from. And as far as like the young six go as characters in my perspective, I guess I'm one of those gentlemen or one of those guys that didn't really like them as much, but I liked them. But yeah, you're right. I wasn't as connected to them as I was the main six, but I think I could tell you why for me. It was that the main six yes, they're all archetypes. I don't think anybody's going to argue that, but they were believable archetypes. Every single one of the main six, and I've said this a million times before, has an analog in my real life. That's like, oh, you act just like this other person that I've known for a long time or was a member of my family. Very believable characters. These guys were a little bit more outlandish, a little less believable as real people. Like, I don't know anybody like Yona. And Silverstream felt a little more flat and one-dimensional. Maybe it's just a screen time thing. Like, these guys didn't really get a whole lot of episodes to themselves to really develop, and especially as individuals, they were just always together as the big group. Smolder and Gallus were probably some of the more realistic ones. But even then, still kind of played up. Sandbar, to my memory, didn't really have anything going for him in terms of his character. Like, and I think the show itself even made fun of that at one point. It was like, yeah, Sandbar's just kind of a pony. And he's like that. He's like that guy from the Lego movie that just had no real personality of his own.
You know what he reminds me of? Is like, you remember that episode of Futurama where they were watching a robot soap opera, and like Fry asked, like, who's that guy right there? He's like, who? Like, that one human right there. He's like, oh yeah, that's Stan. He's a human. He does human things. He's just kind of there. That's what fucking Sandbar felt like. So, oh yeah, he's the pony of the group. He does pony things. He's just there. You know, out of all of them, though, I feel like Gallus might have been my favorite because of the most development, because you get a bigger feel of what his character is like as opposed to the other. There's a lot more depth, considering we kind of know his backstory of being an orphan. And of course, I've speculated on like his relationship to Grandpa Gruff, because he obviously wasn't everyone's grandpa, but Grandpa Gruff dragged him to a place where he'd be housed and fed and stuff. So like, there's a lot to speculate there, which I like. Like, you don't have to spell out everything for me. Let me think about it a little bit. And also,
yeah, you had a whole video about that. I'd tell everybody in the stream who hasn't seen it before to go watch that video.
It was my character spotlight regarding Grandpa Gruff. So it was mostly about Grandpa Gruff, but a lot of the theory did revolve around how he treated Gallus. And I could go on about Gallus. I feel like they just gave me more. They gave me crumbs. But sometimes that's all you need when a person is not the main character. There was a lot to like. And you know what? Like, design-wise, I liked him the best. He had pretty colors. And I think, yeah, second to him, I liked Ocellus, but we got so much left for Ocellus. So Ocellus is purely like, the vibes. Loving Ocellus for the vibes.
Yeah. So, but Ocellus was just kind of one-dimensional shy. Smolder was one-dimensional aggressive. Yona was just
Tomboy.
It was just Yona, or one-dimensional strong and relatively down to earth. And Silverstream was just a basket case, right? But I never really saw them do a whole lot with those personalities outside of that. I don't think they got a whole lot of well,
we had a little bit of Smolder like embracing her feminine side, like that one Fear episode. Her fear was to embrace femininity, because I guess she's been taught to deny herself of it her whole life. Ocellus, we got a little bit of her being like a combo Twy and Fluttershy character, because not only was she shy, but she also was shown to be quite bookish.
Yeah. But like, as far as I'm saying is these guys didn't have nearly as much nuance as the main six, and they weren't as believable as real people in terms of their character. So I think that's part of the reason. And I don't know if that's just a screen time thing or if they just weren't as well written. Because some people would have said that like Rarity, Rainbow Dash, Pinkie Pie, Twilight, that a lot of the main six were one-dimensional in like the first season, but then we had 10 more years of them developing.
I hear you out. I hear you there. I am leaning more toward we needed time. We needed time for them, because like, what season were they introduced? And we got 9 seasons. Like, they were introduced very late and like didn't get as much, because God, the CMC got more episodes than them. So it was introducing a lot of new, smaller characters way late in this series, and like still having to give way for our main characters and the side characters that were already pre-established. It was tough to fit them in. It would have been tough to fit them in.
These guys would have worked a lot better as a spin-off series. Like, I would have...
Oh, yeah.
I might have ended the show with the opening of the School of Friendship, and then rolled and let the characters that have been voicing themselves, the actresses that have been voicing these characters for 10 some odd years, take a break. Maybe they'll come back for bit parts or cameos occasionally, something that's going to take them like 30 minutes in a studio rather than like 8 hours to film a whole episode type of deal. In multiple days for an entire season, and give the new cast and crew a chance to really develop. So and I would have watched the heck out of that show.
I would have been into it too, but it would have been kind of a gamble, I gotta say. Would have been a gamble, because I can imagine some people being like, no, I came for My Little Pony, not My Little Creatures or whatever these things are. I want the main 6. Like, people are really opposed to change. So I can see from a business perspective why they wouldn't have fully gone with that.
It would have been risky. I think it would have paid off, but it would have been risky, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But
Hey, honey, by the way, how does my voice sound?
Write it well. All you got to do is write it well. Bring back M.A. Larson. Bring back a lot of the early season writers. And just let them do their thing. Just let them have creative control. That's what made the first half of the series as good as it was.
Oh god, Jay Yoshi is saying they were introduced in season 8 out of 9. So little time. Time. Hey, Brony, does my voice sound okay?
Yeah, your voice sounds okay. Checking. Why do you ask?
Because I was clicking on the stream to see chat, and I heard my voice a little bit, and I'm like, God, I sound blown out.
Yeah, I did lower your volume a little bit because you were coming in a little hot, but you should be fine.
Okay, but that's fine then.
Yeah, so yeah, let's see what the comments say. This guy says, I've noticed that many fans don't seem to be interested in the Young Six, so though I can usually understand why, I think that they deserve more attention. Personally, love these guys. They're cool, fun, simply delightful. I would have loved to see more of them. I like how each member represents a different creature, since they were so used to understandably seeing ponies getting all the screen time. That's another thing. I liked the concept of the Young Six, because 5 out of 6 of these characters here came from cultures that do not value friendship. And we're very reclusive, and as a result had a propensity, no, that's not the right word, had like a tendency towards selfishness or brutishness or this, that, and the other thing that we don't.
Cowardice.
Yeah, cowardice as well. And so it really drove home this message that friendship and community and things of that nature, even family, are found and can come from anywhere, and these things are all learned, right? Because otherwise you get people like Naysay, and they're like, oh, we don't trust other races, right? Well, that type of racism tends to come from experience. And when, like, let's just headcanon for a second here that like Naysay has dealt with changelings and dealt with griffins and dealt with dragons, and the yaks, nobody in a pony never met a yak. And then their first introduction to the yaks was frickin' Prince Rutherford of all people. From what we saw earlier in the show, I mean, shoot, even the main 6 barely ever had a positive interaction with somebody that wasn't a pony. So, that type of thing will breed biases and prejudices of some kind. And, when you learn to... I'm sorry I'm taking so long to formulate my thoughts here. Yeah, so... But you can teach these things, so it's a cultural thing. I'm rambling at this point, but I think you know what I'm saying.
I do, and I kind of had like a thought while you were going on there about like, okay, I was running with your thought of like each of these races has like a tendency that pushes them away from friendship, and I was trying to come to contemplate, okay, what is that for each one? Well, in Smolder's case, because she's a dragon, it's greed. It's greed, and I would feel like greed and gluttony because all they care about is their hoards and themselves and power. For Gallus, that's also Griffins. It's also a factor. It's also greed because all they care about is the coin. Then I would say Yaks. It's kind of like they're almost matching up to some of the 7 deadly sins because yes, greed and gluttony. But I guess Yaks would be wrath because they're very combative and don't mix well with other people who don't understand what they're like. Silverstream and the Hippogriffs, their big thing, I guess, would be cowardice. It's really like self-serving. I guess I would want to say, I'm not saying that's sloth. I'm not saying they're lazy, but instead of making the effort to like make allies and go up against the Storm King, their first reflex, from what we understand, was to hide, run away. Just think of ourselves. Don't try to make an alliance. Don't try to make a stand. Don't think of another solution. We are going underwater and we are avoiding the whole problem. And of course, then there's changelings who, like, they've all made the effort to change, but I guess it would be also a fit of gluttony and maybe even a bit of pride in being as an elusive species as them.
Changelings feeding on love is lust.
Oh, there you go, lust. So I guess, there's a 7 deadly sin that you could attach to each of these races.
I would have put pride as the Yaks, and I would have put
pride and wrath.
Yeah, and I would have put dragons as wrath.
And greed.
Yeah.
And gluttony. Yeah, a lot of things match up.
Right. Yeah, and that's a good headcanon. I like that. Now, the biggest problem with that headcanon is we're missing one.
7 deadly sins. Let me think.
6
there's
characters.
6 of them. We need one more person.
We need one. Yeah, we need one more. Violent by nature race. But yeah, that's the whole thing. You might have thought that these other races were violent or antisocial or greedy or whatever by nature, and that was what we dealt with a lot with Naysay. But then that showed that no, it's not nature, it's nurture, it's culture, it's these things can be taught. We just have to be open-minded and treat everybody as an individual and give them the chance to see a better way.
There's a better way, there's a better way.
Let's see here. Jay Yoshi saying Yaks have the pride issue of not asking for help. Let's see what the comments say. Not just underrated, but extremely underutilized. Seriously, I thought we were going to have more development with them before the show ended, and some of them needed more development.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, they probably didn't give them more because they wanted to focus on the actual MC. So yeah, that's a reason why the Young Six kind of was a mistake, and the School of Friendship was a mistake. You can't put that towards the end like that. It's got to be the end, because there was a lot of like unanswered questions, a lot of things that the fandom was wondering about, and characters that we wanted more time to develop, and situations that we wanted to see. We come up with fan fiction ideas on this show all the time, and each one of them would have made an amazing episode or even arc, and that would have answered questions, but they kept adding characters. Oh, you know what we needed? We needed Kieran. Going back to the 7 deadly sins thing, we needed a Kieran.
I said that.
Oh, I didn't hear you. That. I'm sorry.
You don't care about what I think.
I just didn't hear it. Maybe it didn't come through. I don't know. Yeah, chat. Did anybody else hear her say Karen? I didn't say that. I didn't hear that anyway.
I might have been. I might have been balls deep in a bowl of popcorn when I said it, but whatever.
Oh, jeez. Heather, no. What if other people want to eat that popcorn?
Well, they better get in line. People would pay to taste some of this.
Paladin says, I ship Terramar and Scootaloo together.
Terramar and Scootaloo? I don't know. I don't think I see the vision. Also, he seems a little bit older.
This guy says, I like them, but never got interested in Yaks. I think Zebra would have been more interesting. Yeah, we need more Zebra in the show.
Yeah.
There was also deer. We had deer in like the comics. Who else did we have? I don't know.
Yeah, Minotaurs are a thing. What's going on, guys? We're on a stream right now.
I know. I'm here to share a story with the stream if you are not in the middle of a topic.
Well,
All right,
Brony, are you okay with that?
Welcome to the show, Emerald Spencer.
He says, welcome to the show, Emerald Spencer.
I am welcomed. So, I cannot hear you right now, but if you are not currently in the middle of a topic and ready to transition to another one, I have a very entertaining story to tell the stream.
Oh, goodness. So, Heather, go ahead and put me on speaker. And
all right, I'll put you on speaker.
And so he can hear me.
I can hear you now.
Yeah, and so can the echo of Heather's thing. But what is the story in relating to?
It is relating to Heather's content.
What did I do now?
You did nothing.
Who remixed me?
Nope. So, right. I just got off the phone with my 11-year-old sister.
Oh, wonderful.
And she told me she found my YouTube channel because she very heavily watches YouTube these days. That itself is fine, because I structured my videos so that my sisters could watch them. The problem is that I shout out Heather in my content. So when we got off the phone, she was beginning to watch Crocking Down on Crime.
Oh no, she saw me handcuff you. She thinks you're in the freaking flesh in prison.
I'm more concerned with the other style of TikToks that you make.
I do say a lot of swears.
So, I get to go have a fun conversation with the eldest of my sisters later and tell them what the youngest of our sisters is up to.
Like, yeah, please don't subscribe to Heather Blossom's channel, or Petals Blossom's channel, if you are under the age of 18. I don't want to be held responsible for shit. I didn't do it. You did this. It's your fault. You can't blame me for that. If I teach her the word fuck, it's not on me.
So, to Brony's chat, you are welcome for the entertaining story of the future uncomfort I will have to deal with.
She's about the same age as that one student I had a long time ago that accidentally found my channel. And when she had said, "Hey, have you ever heard of Brony Buck? He's a really funny Brony YouTuber." And I had only made a couple of, like, pretty suggestive jokes in videos at that time, but those were like the 2 or 3 things that my mind immediately flashed to, and I was like, I'm gonna get fired. It was just not ready for that freaking conversation with management.
I was about to say, yeah, that's why my name changed. I don't need people judging me for what I do. I do very suggestive things that should get me fired.
Well, be fair,
nobody should have ever known. I went as far as, because like at that point I had never shown my face on my channel, or at least very, very little. And when I was on camera, I would always have a beard, but when I worked, I would shave. And I used a completely different voice at work, and obviously nobody knows anything. Like, my real life people do not know about my YouTube, and people on YouTube don't know very much about my family unless I mention it. It's not like I ever show them or anything. So, I kept it as separate as humanly possible there. This kid just happened to be, be watching Brony YouTubers and found me. And then when the conversation of Brony YouTubers came up in talking with this kid at work, she asked me if I had ever heard of me. To which I said, no, I've never heard of Brony Buck.
I love that story. It's hilarious. Is that all from you, Spencer?
Yep. The parting words I will have before I depart, because someone keeps poking me, is, I guess Heather's not the most corrupting influence on my sister. She has told me on multiple occasions that she watches Markiplier.
Oh, well, she has a wonderful influence in life then. Markiplier is successful! When is this movie coming out?
He's working on it.
Work on it harder. Thank you.
It's not his fault. The studios keep jerking him around.
Yeah.
You should hire me.
He should hire you. That would be great.
Yeah, Jay Yoshi says, lied through your teeth. I'm talking about me. Yeah, I totally did. And that's why, like, if y'all remember a few weeks ago, we were talking and, the topic came up of like which element of harmony we would be. And I said, I'd probably be loyalty. And Heather's like, I thought you were honesty. And I said, yeah, but under the right circumstances, I have a capacity to be dishonest. If I think like I avoid it at all costs, but I certainly have the capacity. There is one such example of my capacity for dishonesty if the situation calls for it. Now, 99.9% of the time, it's better to be honest in all things, and I do my best to try to do that. But like I said, one example, not letting this child know that I am Brawny Buck because that would get me fired from my job for certain. I've been fired for being a brony before and passed up for other work for being a brony. So and the other one is, lying on my resume. I lied on my resume to get my previous job.
You gotta lie on your resume to make it through life. Lies fuel careers.
I mean, shoot, everybody else does it. So, all right, we should get back to it.
That doesn't mean it's right, Bronny.
No, it's not right, and I will have to answer to God when my day comes for it, right?
I hope I'm there. I'm hoping there. I'm like, hey, God, get a little of this guy.
Yeah. No, so it wasn't the Ben Kenobi meme. No, it was not the Ben Kenobi meme. It was the opposite. Let's get back to it. Okay, here's our next topic. Do you think the writer should have made Flash and Twilight a couple in the pony world? Interesting.
As much as I would like to, visit the topic of romance more in My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, the key thing is friendship. And let's comprehend this for a sec. Is the attraction this Twilight Sparkle feels to this Flash Sentry really healthy because she knows actually nothing about this guy? She knows about another guy that looks exactly like him, but as a dude. Is that a healthy way to start a relationship?
Well, I'll bet you the personality is the same at the very least between the two, right? Because the personality was the same across the board everywhere else. So, if you're attracted to the personality, then you've got a starting point. It could work. But if not, if you're just attracted to the looks, or if you're attracted to something else about him that doesn't carry from one iteration of the character to the next, then yeah, that is not a healthy starting point there. I'm torn on it because I enjoyed Flashlight. I would have liked to see Flashlight play out. But, there's the obvious problems there of, Twilight's literally from a different dimension. And they even went over that a bit in Legend of Everfree, when Flash kept trying to hit on Twilight out at the camp. And he's like, I just remembered we don't know each other. You only look like this girl that I like.
Yeah, I don't like using that term frame that he would hit on her. That I barely even consider what he did flirting. He was just being maybe overtly friendly, like he already knew her, but he realizes, yeah, you're not the person I know. I don't want to say that he was even making advances. He was being nice, maybe overly friendly at most. The Flash Sentry is a pretty nice guy. I mean, I feel bad for shitting on him at all.
So I don't know. I could have seen it. It obviously depends on how it was handled. But, yeah, then the question would become, is Twilight attracted to this guy just because he is the Flash Sentry, and that could be explored in the story too. Do I like you because you're Flash Sentry, or do I like you because you are like a different Flash Sentry that I had a crush on?
It's a tough question.
Paladin says, no, Twilight belongs to Sunset or Rainbow Dash. Sir, we do not ship.
I don't know. I don't like those matchups.
First of all, I lived the Twilight and Rainbow Dash. Right, my first girlfriend was very much like Twilight, and at that point in my life, I was very much like Rainbow Dash. that chemistry does not work. I can tell you firsthand. Secondly, we don't ship same-sex couples in this dojo.
Too bad, I already did.
How freaking dare you defy me in my own dojo?
I'd like to see you stop me.
The
The girls' kisses, the boys' kisses.
There's nothing I can do to stop you, unfortunately.
I'm too powerful.
Yeah. Okay, so with the exception of Heather, we don't ship same-sex couples in this dojo.
I guarantee half the people in your dojo do.
Well, they're wrong. All right, let's see what they say here. I wouldn't mind if they were a canon romance subplot with the main six, Pinkie Pie and Cheese Sandwich, ended up together, Rainbow Dash and Applejacks. No. In the last problem, though it's left ambiguous, however, these relationships were only revealed at the end of the series, so there was no real development. I would have liked to see a romance subplot for the main six. Realistically, the main six would have developed relationships with new characters. Most of them likely wouldn't be paired together, especially since having a canon LGBT relationship might have been considered controversial. Still, I personally wouldn't mind seeing them in relationships. They could be new characters and introduce and maybe a couple with some other ponies in the main six.
You know what's something?
Yeah, Heather?
Tangentially related to this, there's an artist named Lopodity that I like a lot, who like made her own little AU called the Paniverse that has like a Twilight Sparkle Discord baby in it. One of the things is though, like a lot of their characters are LGBTQ plus, like a lot of same-sex couples or whatever the fuck. The one thing that I thought was weird was Rainbow Dash was like the only straight one. Rainbow Dash was the one that ended up with like a male side character, and guess which side character it was?
Was it me?
No, it was fucking one of her bullies from flight camp. Like they shipped her with one of her bullies. Like I think Dumbbell was his name.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, they shipped her with one of her bullies, and that's where her fan kids came from. Like, what? If you want to make Rainbow Dash straight, that's one thing. But dude, what the fuck is that?
Xander says Twilight is an adult. Human Flash is a teen. It's like Rarity and Spike. I still like them together.
I don't want to think. Like, don't make me think of these age things. I don't know how this translates. How is Sunset Shimmer still in high school?
I'm pretty sure Twilight is roughly the same age as Flash Sentry between the two universes. However, Sunset is 100% an adult.
Yeah, she was like 24 hanging out with high school kids.
Rusty says Rainbow Dash and Soren. Yeah, we can get behind that one.
Yeah, that one's kind of basic. That's like season 1. That's just my personal opinion.
Yeah, and that's fine. This guy says no, because I don't think chasing an AU version of a teenager you kinda dated is healthy in any way, shape, or form. However, a story where Twilight tries to date Pony Flash, realizes he's a different person than the human Flash, and then realizes that she doesn't have any romantic interest in this pony. She still likes his company and values his friendship is something that would work better and would fit quite well in the theme of the show, if I may add. I'd sate the Twiflash it would sate the Twiflash enjoyers. Geez, you think I didn't go to college with my reading abilities here. Who are able to respect a ship that's sunk. The Twi-Sims are happy that their waifu is still single. The Flash fans are happy that he isn't piled for committing the heinous act of existing. And the writers just added a friend of Twilight that she, and by association most of the main six and extended cast, have a dynamic with. This would be a lot like Big Mac and Marble, a love story doomed from the start, so that friendship can blossom in its place. Bosom.
I fuck with this guy. I like this guy. He's a good, thoughtful guy. He's smart.
And then Rainbow Dash dates Flash Sentry.
I don't see it. Flash Magnus, maybe.
He's too old for her.
Only technically. Don't do that Edward Cullen shit.
I will do that Edward Cullen stuff. I take great pleasure from it.
Good God.
Let's see here. I think they should have done something with him instead of trying to pretend he doesn't exist. Well, listen, if the Bronies didn't have such a visceral, violent reaction to him, they might have.
You know,
But-
they threw him a couple bones. They redesigned him. That he was in a couple of shorts. He was around. I certainly liked it whenever we saw him because he started doing his own thing. They even changed his hair a little bit. I thought he looked cute.
Oh my God, he had that god-awful music video, though, that hurt my ears and just reduced his character to simp. It made me so upset.
I don't remember it. I don't remember it, but, you know, that thing's going to be a hit.
Cheer you on? You don't remember that one?
Vaguely, but like you said, it probably wasn't that good, so it didn't stick in my mind.
All right, and I don't know what the copyright situation here is, so I'm not going to play that whole video on this stream, but yeah, it was pretty dang bad.
Yeah.
J Yoshi agrees with me. Rainbow Flash, good man. What about
That's not a good ship name. That is not a good ship name. I do not want Rainbow Flash as a hashtag, bro.
What's wrong with Rainbow Flash?
Ronnie, I need you to think good and hard about this. Really hard, like throbbing hard.
I don't see a problem. Maybe your mind's just in the gutter when it shouldn't be. Have you ever considered that, Heather?
Have you ever considered yours should be in the gutter more often so you see these things and people don't freaking say things about you because you said
like
weird
being
shit?
a prude. It has saved me much trouble in my life.
Bronny, you gotta stop being a freak.
I gotta stop being a freak. Is that what you just said? I think.
Oh, actually, yeah, you need to start.
You know, Heather, I think if I was, quote unquote freaky like you want me to be, you probably would not have fallen in love with me.
Ronnie, I'm just saying you gotta know when to turn it on so you can see these things coming.
Okay, well, that doesn't answer the question. What the frick is wrong with Rainbow Flash?
Because it makes me think of freaking rainbow-headed, rainbow dash flashing people, Bronny. We don't need the Rainbow Flash.
My brain would have never gone there in 100 years, Heather. What the heck is wrong with you?
I guarantee you people are more like me than they are like you, Bronny. Everyone would have saw it, and they would have been like, what did he say? Yeah, my favorite thing, Rainbow Flash. And they're just like, what?
All right, you frickin' pervert. How about Sentry Dash?
Kind of vanilla. Not really into it.
Oh my God, you are unpleasable.
I'm sorry, Bronny. Not everybody can have a perfect ship name. You can't all be like Twilight Sparkle and Pinkie Pie being Twinkie. That was just perfection right there. Or Applejack and Pinkie Pie being Apple Pie. That's literally amazing right there. It goes so well. It figures I don't really care about those two as a couple. But the ship name, amazing.
I don't think there's anything wrong with Rainbow Flash. You're the only one like there. Xander says Rainbow Sentry is another one. And I don't think there's anything wrong with Sentry Dash. J Yoshi also says Flash Dash. Gojillion says Tyrek Dash. You get out of my chat.
Now, Flash Dash is funny. I like that.
All right. We'll agree on Flash Dash then. Holy frick. Let's see here. There are very few shows that have characters without romantic partners. I think keeping the character single was probably for the best. I was crying laughing when Spike became a Giga Chad dragon and still could slide with Rarity. Well, Rarity was old and gray and saggy by then.
You need to shut the fuck up.
It is so easy to troll you, Heather.
You need to suck my nuts.
Start with Rarity's saggy gray face.
Ronnie, you should be so lucky to be in the presence of something so saggy and gray. You know what I'm gonna do?
What are you gonna do, Heather?
I'm gonna get old, Brony. You know what I'm gonna do then?
What's up?
I'm gonna get my saggy granny titties and I'm gonna slap you in the face with them.
Okay. But the difference
I
is
just fucking...
they'll be yours, so I might actually enjoy that. But like Rarity,
with how hard I'm gonna be slinging those. That's gonna be like a what you see those slingshots that don't have like the wooden thing, like it's just like a hand sling. It's gonna be like something like that.
I apologize to anybody who might be eating their dinner right now.
Nah, be stronger.
Okay, let's move on. Did the writers just stop caring about the pillars after season 7? With absolutely nothing to go on. Just ask the question. Nothing.
To be fair, I don't remember much about what the fuck the pillars did. Like, they were relevant for, like, one plot thing, and then like, I think Rockhoof had a thing, and then nothing. Well, I wanted to hear more about what happened to Stygian, and we didn't get shit about that.
Oh, he went off,
wrote a book! That's all we heard!
Yeah, he wrote a book about what he did, and then he just kind of relaxed, I guess. Nothing wrong with retirement after the life that he had lived.
Sure, but I wanted to hear more about that publication process.
They already told the story of what was in the book. We know what was in the book. It was just Stygian writing about it, and maybe writing about some of the other stuff that he did.
Yeah.
Gojillian wants to know, how do we feel about Spike and Sweetie Belle shipping?
I like it.
At least the age gap isn't as bad, I would assume.
Yeah, they're around the same age. I like it. I've seen a lot of cute like fanfics and comics regarding the topic.
There was a meme that went around in like 2012. It was that screenshot of Spike and Sweetie dancing at Cadence's wedding. And it's like,
yeah.
Oh, when you can't get the girl you like, so you date her younger sister instead.
That's cute. Real cheeky.
Yep. All right, let's see what these comments say. Maybe not necessarily a lack of care, but they didn't seem to know what to do with them much afterwards. Star Swirl still got some notable appearances, and Rockhoof got an episode that I related to way too much, with him having an existential crisis, but the rest wasn't seen much beyond that. Well, we know Meadowbrook went back into medicine. We know Stygian wrote a book and was on tour signing it. Let me see here. That's Rockhoof.
Flash Magnus went back to the army.
Yeah.
Rockhoof.
I don't remember what he did afterwards, but he that was his whole episode, is he didn't know what to do with himself after, and everybody else found their niche and got back to having a normal life. So yeah, it's like, what do you do with a character that's just having a normal life?
His definition of normal is archaic.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't fit in. He breaks everything. He can't control his strength.
Why didn't he just work on the apple farm?
Oh, God, I feel like they tried that, but I don't remember. The pillars weren't really needed anymore. This guy just puts it very succinctly. Let's move on.
Miss Mame was like in the Crystal Empire, like helping with a garden, wasn't she?
She might have been. I couldn't remember Miss Mame.
Ronnie, may I read this one?
Sure.
Why did Celestia... Hold on, scroll back up. Why did Celestia took Cadence in as her niece instead of her daughter? Is she stupid?
First of all...
So I wonder why... Like, why the last part? That was just rude.
Structure. Ad hominem.
Rude. Just rude. So comprehending this question, I guess it's a valid enough question. It's like, why did she adopt her just as like a niece and not as like a daughter? But I feel like, didn't Cadence have an established kind of like a mother figure already in her life? And like when she discovered like she was going to be like an alicorn princess or whatever the fuck, according to that freaking comic, she didn't even become an alicorn princess right away. It's when she got her cutie mark that Celestia was like, oh, she has a destiny or something. and takes her to Camelot.
Yeah.
But why would she adopt her as a daughter? And like that really is the question, Brony. Why do you think they went with like, oh, she adopted her as a niece? It's not her daughter, but it's a niece. Is it because like the writers were thinking like, well, she would have said something sooner, or something would have come up sooner if she in fact had a daughter, even adopted, but a niece you're not going to talk about as much, I suppose.
They never or did they wait, yeah, they said niece once in Royal Camelot Wedding Part 1, didn't they?
Yeah.
Cuz that was the only time I had heard them
that was the whole
actually
thing.
refer to her as Celestia's niece. I'd had it explained to me in the past that sometimes royal families, when they adopt somebody, they take on like the title of niece. That there doesn't necessarily need to be any sort of blood relation there. It's just kind of what they do. Like it's the custom that you call this person that's now a part of your family as your niece.
All right.
Yeah, I don't have any other explanation beyond that. So let's see what the comments say. 1, I imagine she doesn't want to step on the horseshoes of Cadence's adoptive parents. Celestia seems to keep people at a distance, presumably due to her lifespan. What do you think about that, Heather?
Those are pretty good explanations. No, I don't believe by the comics we read that like Cadence had a particular set of parents, but she was kind of like raised in a it takes a village kind of setting. So she definitely had some maternal figures, I suppose, and Celestia didn't want to step on any toes and say like, no, I'm the mother. She's like, nah, I'm your aunt now. And I mean, I don't think though that Celestia would keep Cadence at arm's distance if she knew she was going to become an alicorn, because the fact that Cadence was becoming an alicorn, she pretty much could assume that, yeah, Cadence is going to have a longer lifespan now. And also, she didn't keep Cadence at arm's length. Like, she didn't tell her everything right away, but she kept her just about as close as she would Twilight Sparkle.
Jayoshi says she's probably a niece several times removed, but still a niece nonetheless. That would still imply that Luna had children.
Weren't they adopted into, like, the Unicorn Royal family, or am I remembering a fanfiction? Also, how does Prince Blueblood play into all this?
Yeah, that's another freaking thing. I don't know why they called him her nephew and then just never did anything with it. Harriman says niece prevents succession issues in royalty as well. I don't think equestrian royalty works like that.
Yeah. Would that mean, like, if it was, because she was still a princess, she was Princess Cadence, and we had Prince Blueblood, so does that mean if, like, something happened to Celestia and Luna before Twilight was a princess, that one of them, or both of them, would have to take over?
I don't know. See, that's the thing, is we needed some episodes on how this works. Or you know, I would also, at this point, be satisfied with something that just retcons it. Like, I don't know why the frick we use the word niece and nephew to describe Blue Blood and Cadence, but we're just going to pretend that never happened.
What they could have said is that Prince Blueblood was just a descendant of the original Unicorn Royal family, like Princess Platinum. Like, Princess Platinum's descendant, and they just let him keep the title. Like, if they had said that, that would make sense. But I guess so early on in the show, they just kind of wanted to, like, throw something to give him a connection that would make him a prince. So I guess that's why I've heard some people say, like, Celestia and Luna were basically adopted when they became rulers into the Unicorn monarchy family at that time, and like Prince Blueblood is just like a descendant who kind of just like nephew was just easier to say than say he's like my once removed, twice removed, whatever the fuck cousin or something.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could also just use the word prince to describe the son of like a duke, you know, or some other high-ranking noble figure, politician, things like that might not necessarily be princess or queen or something like that. Or maybe he even just comes from a different pony nation where they have a king or a queen or something like that, and he's a descendant of them.
You know, Brony, there were some translations of the show and official merch that did call Prince Blueblood like a duke instead of a prince. So maybe that was in production at some point, but they switched it to make it more understandable for kids. But I just don't know.
Yeah, right. And well, I could totally see Hasbro pulling that. Oh, kids don't know what a duke is, so we're gonna call him Prince. I could see them pulling that card. I could see it just being as simple as the writers not thinking that far ahead. And the implications that would have, or just not, or even the writers not knowing what a duke is or something like that. But if it's for the reason of you don't think kids are going to understand what a duke is, like, we all know I hate that argument. You know, this is the same thing with 4 kids. It's the same thing of 4 kids calling a rice ball a jelly donut because they think kids might not know what a frickin' rice ball is. They'll figure it out.
And you know what?
Dang it.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Even if they don't know what a duke or a rice ball is, you know what they're going to do? They're going to turn to their parents and be like, Mommy, what is a duke? And she'll probably just Google the answer or tell them, like, a duke is like a noble in high society or whatever. And they'll be like, oh, okay, and continue watching their goddamn show.
Yeah, or just figure it out from context clues. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, they really just kind of threw that out there. Like, oh, we want to make him a prince so kids will know what the fuck that is and not have to ask their parents what a duke is, because kids need to, like, be glued to the TV and shut up and not bother their parents. Yeah, but also, we need to explain, like, how is he a prince when we already have a princess that rules? And they probably were like, oh, we don't want it to look like Celestia has a son. That isn't in the card, so we'll just say nephew. Wave it off with nephew.
I guess so. But, yeah, it's, like, Prince would have worked if he came from somewhere else, or even was like the son of another high-ranking noble. You could use Prince for that, and it would work. But yeah, it's another thing though is he definitely needed to be Prince, because I don't think Rarity would give a frick and have this whole fantasy of being the princess, you know, that has her whole Cinderella moment at the ball, if Blue Blood wasn't a prince, right? If he was Duke, she'd be like, why have Duke when you could have Prince and be in line for the throne? Like, because Rarity definitely had that, like, immature fantasy, fairy tale fantasy thing going on, and that's why she had eyes for Blue Blood, and she knew a little bit about him and that he was a prince, and it wouldn't have been that fairy tale fantasy if he had not been a prince.
You know, I like that fantasy though, because the outfit she wore was like really good. Loved it.
Isn't that the outfit she ended up wearing to the gala?
No, she wore a different dress. Like, in that one, she had like a Beauty and the Beast inspired little gown on. I think I told you about it because I had that top 10 list of Rarity outfit video I made, and it was on there.
Oh, okay.
What astounds me from that list, because kind of going off topic here, is that Princess, like, freaking Rarity's gala dress, not a single vote. Because I put a poll out for that video. No one voted for the gala dress.
Yeah, that was surprising, because that was one of the better ones. Everybody go watch Heather's video on that.
I make great videos and no one... Well, I mean, you know what? People watch them and they comment, but it's usually my regulars. It doesn't really go very far, though.
Yeah.
Especially not compared to my shorts!
I looked ahead here and didn't really see any other interesting comments, so let's move on real quick. We only got a few minutes left of the stream before
I was about to say, we don't have a lot of time.
Yeah. Unicorns are so overpowered, lol.
I want to say, to start off with this argument, they're using 2 very big outliers for their argument. Twilight Sparkle and Starlight Glimmer we've been told time and time again and shown time and time again, they are exceptional. They are like the top tier, top level unicorns. So yes, they seem overpowered, but that's because in a world of like regular ass people, they're like triathletes when it comes to magic. They are like the top tier. That's not a good example. I'm not going to say unicorns are overpowered. Unicorns as a whole are not overpowered. These two, though, are. That's because they just on that grind set.
Yeah. I would have loved to see an actual duel between Sunset and Starlight. I feel like that would have been fun to watch.
Well, they got to meet, and all they did was get ice cream, Brony. That's what you get.
Yeah. Well, they had a lot of common things to bond over at that point, but like,
Well, of course.
yeah, but these are both fighters. Twilight,
And you know what?
Twilight is not as much of a fighter as like Starlight is, and definitely not as much of a fighter as Sunset is. I would have liked to see them fight.
I will give this just off topic. I don't like Starlight. We all know this, but let's not get into that. I will give her this. They gave her a good Equestria Girls design. Love those jeans.
Oh no, I hate those jeans.
No, game recognized game. Shut up. The fact that you get pants in this series is big.
Purposefully ripped holes in the jeans, though. I always hated that fashion.
I kind of liked it. I think I still have some ripped up jeans in here. I haven't worn some in a while because it's way too fucking hot to wear pants.
I remember the first time I saw that, and I think it was just like, you know, walking through a mall as a teenager, and there was the Abercrombie and Fitch store right there. And I'm like, the frick, these jeans have holes in them already? Oh yeah, they did that on purpose. They did that as part of the production. It's part of the style now.
You know what's
you mean
better
to tell
though?
me
Like you can get
these jeans are $50 and they already got holes in them and they're supposed to get out of here with that nonsense. I hate fashion so much.
You know, I will say though, that was a fashion trend easy to do fucking cheap. Just go buy regular ass cheap jeans and put the holes that you want in there. Hey, make holes of a certain shape.
Jeans are supposed to be work pants. They're
not anymore.
If you wear them and you actually go and do work like a real man, they will get the holes. And then you will have the fashion. The jeans will probably have turned black by then, but that's beside the point.
You wear construction, and I swear you didn't wear jeans.
I don't like jeans. I like cargos. They're easier to wear, they're lighter, they're more flexible, and they have pockets.
I mean, jeans do have pockets, they're just not very good.
Yeah. And denim is not a very flexible material.
It is not, but that's probably part of its durability that people really liked.
Yeah, I was climbing up onto ladders in attics. I needed to be flexible.
I got a particular denim outfit for a new cosplay, folks, and I gotta say, I love this denim outfit because it has an absurd amount of pockets. I like them pockets, bro.
Well, let's just take a minute here to look at some comments. Granted, I don't think most unicorns would have the concentration or focus to pull off that flying stunt. Starlight does. Rarity needed wings.
Yeah, Rarity's not geared for what Starlight and Twilight and Sunset do. She's a fashion girly. Her points are all put in dexterity for sure, but yeah, she's not a high-level unicorn. She's certainly good at what she does, but Rarity might be a more normal unicorn. She doesn't do all this shit that they do. Did you see her throw that boulder? That's not something she's built to do. She sure did it when it counted, but that's probably something a lot of unicorns would have struggled with.
Yeah, unicorns are OP. Only shows the two unicorns whose talent is being OP. Unicorns are no better than any other race, it's just that Twilight and Starlight are world-class spellcasters. Pegasi would be OP too if you used Rainbow Dash and Lightning Dust as your only examples. It'd be like pointing to Usain Bolt and Mike Tyson and saying all of humanity is OP.
That's fucking awesome, though. I'd be like, oh, no, human beings are so powerful. Have you met my friend Mike Tyson?
Yeah, one of the best fighters to ever live. All right, let's call it.
For the most part, Yeah. That's a good idea.
But yeah, what were you saying? Go ahead and finish what you were saying, Heather.
It seems like we only meet the most powerful unicorns in this series, and then everyone else is just way fucking normal. We're meeting, average-ass earth ponies who sell tea, and Pegasi who just kind of, clear the skies, but, every unicorn we meet does something that's just, world-shattering.
Well, yeah, because our main character is a world-class spellcaster from the most prestigious magic school in the world. So, that's top-tier education mixed with top-tier talent and with a character with top tier work ethic, that's going to create a frickin' monster. That's like that is the formula to create the best thing that ever existed type of deal. So that's how that happens. Starlight, same thing. If anything, had more work ethic because she did all that without going to the school for gifted unicorns and having the super privileged life, right? Like, she did all that with mental problems.
Oh,
So,
God.
yeah, Starlight did all that while handicapped by depression and narcissism.
No, fueled by it. Fueled by freaking. There's nothing mentally unstable about me. Psychopathy will do something to you.
It's all you. All of you are the problem with your stupid freaking cutie marks and special talents. I hate special talents so much that my special talent is going to become being the best at special talent.
It's so fucking bizarre.
And then I'm going to become a villain. But yeah, so the point is, people are going to, like that, like Twilight, are going to be around a lot of other world-class scholars, magicians, things like that. So they're going to seem, it's going to seem like we're around a lot of people. It'd be like me, when I hang out with like a bunch of professional fighters, and I'm a professional fighter, so it's going to seem like everybody around me just has the ability to fight, but that's the type of person that I am, so that's the kind of company that I keep.
Yeah.
You sort of see where I'm going with that?
Yeah, totally.
All right. So thanks everybody for tuning in. Tune back in just a few minutes. Heather and I are going to keep hanging out. We're going to play some Mass Effect for y'all. I hope y'all like Mass Effect.
If I remember correctly, we're going to go to Novaria.
I don't know what that is, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
It's a planet. You'll hate it.
All right. Yeah, we're done with the stupid side mission stuff now. Like, we're actually working on the story now, right?
It's not stupid, but yeah, I think Liara's leveled up enough. But the whole thing was that I wanted Liara to be leveled up for when we got here. It's important to bring Liara for this because we're gonna meet her mom.
Are we gonna seduce her mom?
Yeah.
I was joking.
If we can.
Let's not seduce anybody's mom.
You can't stop me.
Oh my god. When you pitched the whole idea of us playing through Mass Effect on my stream to me, you were like, I'll let you make the decisions, but I'll be playing, so it'll be like you're playing, but through me. And I was like, cool, we can do that. You have not let me make a single frickin' decision since we started playing.
No, honey, because you're gonna make the decisions that make the game harder.
Am I?
I just don't want you to fail because you would pick like mixed options, and then we wouldn't have enough Paragon or fucking Renegade points to like make the Do you not want peaceful resolutions? Damn it!
No, I like peaceful resolutions, but I don't think there's a peaceful resolution in seducing somebody's mother.
Fine. I guess you don't want to seduce Samara in the next game either because she has like 3 kids.
Oh, yeah. I'm not the stepdad. Have a good night, everybody. Stay safe. God bless. We'll see you on the next stream.